We played a game where everyone was involved. Students were laughing, they were flapping their wings, they were making crazy noises. It was awesome. Okay, today I want to talk about how to take screen games, your typical trivia games or whatever, and make them way better. Typically, this is how screen games work. You invite two students up, or a couple of three, four, however many, and you have them write down on a piece of paper or whiteboard or whatever their answer, and then you show the answer, and then if they get it right, whatever. That's typically how it happens, right? I love screen games. I've created screen games. Matter of fact, there's a Halloween Guess That Celebrity screen game in the link below that you can go on Download Youth Ministry to pick up for your ministry. Grab that now. That's a great download. It's fun. You try to guess your celebrity. But here's the thing with screen games. You do them over and over and over again, even though they're different games, they're different subjects, right? It's about different things. They can kind of get boring and predictable. So I want to look at 5 ways, maybe a bonus way, on how to make your screen games, your upfront games, way better, more engaging, more fun, and bring some energy into them. Okay, so I want to walk through a couple of different ways. So the first way, right, is your classic dry erase board or notepad version where the students, you bring up 2 students or 4 students, whatever the number is, bring them up front. I love dry erase boards because they write their answer, and then on 3 you have them turn it around and reveal their answer. And you can kind of take that one of 2 ways. If they get it right, they get 1,000 points. You can do it if they get it wrong, they sit down, but that tends to go kind of quickly with just a couple of students up front. So I give them 1,000 points. Here's the thing about points. Points are free. They don't cost you anything. So don't give away 1 point. Make it 1,000. That's easy, right? It doesn't cost you anything. So give 1,000 points away for everyone they get right. And then I always double the last question. I double it, doesn't matter what it is, I double it, and I say that ahead of time just so you guys know the last question is going to be worth 2,000 points. That way, there's no like, oh, this guy's 9,000 and this person has 8,000, and if they get it right, you just change it for that person. You don't want to deal with that, right? That happens all the time. There's always that student, so you want to lay out the rules ahead of time. There's always going to be those students who are like, you didn't follow the rules exactly the way you said you were going to do them. So I try to kind of mitigate that and get it out of the way. So to double the points on the last round. Or you could go across and you can do the first 3 are worth 1,000, the second 3 are worth 2,000, third 3 are worth 3,000, and the last one is 5,000. However you want to do it, okay? So that's the one way to do it up front. When they're done, they erase it and they keep track of their points on the board. And so that when they get 2 right, they put 2,000 down, turn it around when they're showing it. Okay. Second way to do an upfront game is get 2 students. Now this one can feel kind of like, oh, that's not fair, but let me explain. You get 2 students up front, they're going head to head. Do the dry erase board, however you want to do it. If one of them gets it wrong and one of them gets it right, the person who gets it wrong sits down and you bring a replacement student up to go against the student who got it right. Then they both guess. If they both get it right, they stay in for the next round. If one of them gets it wrong, even if the first student gets it wrong, that student sits down. If the new replacement student gets it right, that student's in. Then you replace the first student. Is that making sense? So this student could stay up for 8 rounds and get 8 right and get the 9th one wrong and sit down, and then the replacement one could come up and the replacement one could win. And that's why it can sometimes not feel fair, like, oh, he came in at the last minute. But if you keep getting him right, you're still in. So whoever gets it wrong, you replace them. If they both get it wrong, replace both of them. Or you can, if you don't have enough students to replace both of them, you can keep them in until one of them gets it right and one of them gets it wrong. and then again, replace it. Even to the very last question, if somebody got the second to last question wrong, they go sit down, bring up somebody who comes up and answers just one right and this person gets it wrong, they could win the game just by being the last one to get it right. And if you run out of questions, I always do rock, paper, scissors or something like that to kind of to finish that, make it fair at the end. All right. Another way to play your trivia games is to do, this is an all play version. I love all play because it gets everybody involved. You don't want to always do that. I like mixing up from all play to just a few up front and motion to sitting still to gross out, all that stuff. But so this all play, if you have 4 answers in your trivia question on your screen game, put a number in each corner correlating to the number to the answer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, whatever it is, or if it's color, put that in each corner and then have your students go to the corner that they think is correct. Now, this is one of my favorites. I love having the students get up, they go to their spot, and I always say, if you are in the wrong corner, you sit down. But the first round is a freebie. Always give the first round as a freebie because you tend to eliminate a lot of students on this game. So I give the first round as a freebie so they know, okay. And I say it ahead of time. Again, letting them know ahead of time because, oh, that's not fair. I got it right. They got it wrong. No. First round's a freebie. So just go to your corners, whichever one. And I always tell them, you can't stand halfway in the middle. You got to commit to a corner. Then if they get it wrong, that group sits down. And then you go to the next question and you have them separate into corners. Love that version. There's motion, they're active, it's an all play. Now in games, I don't force students to play that don't want to play. If other students kind of want to be the encouragement on that, that's fine, but I don't force anybody to play because not everybody wants to do that kind of stuff, and that's okay. Games are important, but they're not life-changing critical, but they do open up the doors for conversation later on when you have that kind of shared experience and you have fun and it's laughter and all that stuff. Okay, so that's another way to do all play. Another all play game, and I actually love this one as well, is to have everybody stand up. And you can, a variation of the 4 corners, you can have them do just 1, 2, 3, or 4 on their fingers, just standing up. When they get the wrong, they sit down. It's a lot harder to gauge if you have more than 10 students to gauge who's telling the truth or not, right? So if they're in a corner, it's obvious they got it wrong. Now, this way is to assign a motion and a noise. I like doing both to each answer. So if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, whatever. So let's just say it's A, B, C, D as the answers. So if you think it's A, maybe you make an A frame like this over your head and you're like, A! And everybody has to do this. And I have them practice it. And I take them in that order. And B, I might have them flap their wings like this and go, bzzz. And C, I might go, C. Or, ah. And D, maybe it's like, huh. Right? So then I'll go through them. Okay, everybody try B. And it's like, zzz, D, huh. A, C, whoo. Right? So whatever motion sound you want to put to it, those are kind of easy and obvious, but you can change it up, make it anything you want. The more bizarre, the better. I've discovered there tends to be more laughter when you do this way of the game. So then another way to do that. So when they get it wrong, they sit down. Again, I give that first round as a freebie. Again, it's like the corners. You tend to eliminate a lot of students, and you can end up getting through 3 or 4 questions, and all of a sudden you've only got 1 student left. If it's a tie, I give them another chance. So if there's like 5 students left in the game and they all get it wrong, I go, okay, you all get a freebie because you all got it wrong. You all stay in. So another way, this is a fun one, is to take pieces of paper, or maybe you have those round rubber silicone kind of things, the circles that you use in a gym or whatever. Maybe you have those kind of things. But I just take pieces of paper and I'll place 10 spots or 8 spots along the way, from the back of the room to the front of the room on the floor. And I usually do 4 students to play on that. And so I'll do 4 different rows like that. And they'll start on the back row. And I give them a dry erase board, and they put their answer. When I call for the answer, I go 1, 2, 3, show, and they show their answer. If they get it right, they step to the next square. And so they keep moving forward, and the object is to be the first one to the front, to the stage, or whatever you have there. That's a really fun way. A twist on that, I told you it was a 5+. A twist on that is if you have chairs and you've got rows, I have them stand on the last row. And I know you shouldn't stand on furniture. It's youth ministry, right? I have them stand on the last row. And if they get the question right, again, I use the dry erase board. They climb over the next row and they stand there. Or, I was going to say, or you can do that. We used to do it many, many years ago. We'd have them sit on the laps of the person that's sitting in that chair. But I tend to not do that anymore. It's just safer not to do it that way. But having them stand over and stand on the chairs, and they're kind of, maybe they have to push the student out of the way. That's a super fun twist to that, taking steps forward. And again, then it's the first person to reach the stage, and you might have a couple of pieces of paper between you and the stage and the front row, because maybe you've got only 3 or 4 rows of chairs, and then they come up. That's just another twist of that game. But all of those, I promise you, take a different way to do a game every week, and you will find that your students will be more engaged because they're not doing what they always do, right? I love steak, but I've had a filet mignon at this place called LG's. It was a business thing, and somebody else paid for it, and it was like a $75 cut of meat, which was, I can't believe I had. It wasn't my choice to be there, but they're like, you go. Anyhow, that was the most amazing steak I've ever eaten in my life. Unbelievable. But if I had that every single meal, I'm likely to get tired of it. I love cake. If I have cake at every meal, I'm likely to get tired of it. Either of those every meal, probably going to get sick too, right? So it's the same with games. Like, you do the same game, same way over and over and over again, it's gonna get old. So find a different way to do your games every week. Switch it up. Don't do just screen games. There's plenty of, you know what? I've got a free ebook I want to give to you, and an audiobook as well on games. Why we do games in youth ministry. I've got a whole bunch of no prep and low prep games that you can do. So the low prep is very little you need to do to prep the game beforehand. And then 15 best practices of actually running games, helping your leaders to know what the rules are, making sure you're very clear about all that stuff. So I would love to give that to you for free. The link is in the description below. Go ahead, click that link. There's an audiobook that's free that goes along with the ebook. I've found, like, when I read a book and I have the audio and I read along, it's actually much better for me and I retain it better. So love for you to have that. If you would do me a big favor, would you click the like button today? Click the subscribe button, get the notification so you know when you've got when there's a new podcast. We release these every week. Would love to have you subscribe to the podcast. We got some really cool stuff coming up. You saw we had an interview with Kenny and Elle recently. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and click on the most recent video. Marco, who, both of those are phenomenal interviews. We'll have other interviews in the upcoming weeks and months. I'm super excited about some of these people, well, all of them that I'll be interviewing, have some really great insight into youth ministry, these practical youth ministry tips to help you be better at what you do. I want to encourage you, empower you, and equip you with some simple, practical tips. So hopefully you can take something from this today and implement it right away into your ministry. God bless you. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.